Hey, hi guys. This is Yash Dahankar, co-founder and CEO of Acknowledger, and today we have really special guest Garlam, who is the founder and partner at Momentum Six, and has been investing widely, and one of the OGs of the whole Web3 space. And today we'll be talking about catching Web3 trends early. So, because Garlam has been actively investing for a very long time, and he is considered as the one of the OGs of the Web3 spaces, Web3, and we conduct this podcast every week, every Wednesday. We invite people to talk about what they are building, what are their insights, so that we can learn from them. And we are doing this since the first week of Jan this year, and we have taken a pledge to do this consistently uh, throughout this year. And this is our, I think, this is the eighth month, and we started with Twitter Spaces, and then we eventually thought, we can make it more interactive. So we started going live on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, simultaneously. And the best part of the clips we forwarded to and we broadcast it to the wider audience. And this way, we can directly communicate or connect with the community and answer their question and queries. So, hi Garlam, welcome to Acknowledger podcast. And
Yeah, hey, I guess glad to be on here. Yeah, I did not know you guys were doing it at the beginning of the year, so that's my bad. But yeah,
yeah,
glad to be on. Very, very kind introduction. I think way more than I deserve. Definitely been investing for a while. I don't know if I always made the right choice, but obviously still here, still surviving. So that's a good sign.
yes, absolutely. So, and by the way, Garlam is also our advisor, by the way, for those who are listening. So, thanks, Garlam, for giving your advice throughout our journey since the day one.
Of
And we
course,
are
of
glad
course.
to have you on board. Yes, awesome. Cool. So, Garlam will start with a little bit, going a little bit early to understand how you think about investment. So, first of all, like how you started your investment journey, like what was uh, the first, what was your first investment and what got you into the investment part? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I started the whole journey when 2017. I was working as a product manager at a very interesting app called Ashley Madison, which is like a dating app for married people. So I was there for a while, and obviously, met a lot of really interesting characters there. We had our own crypto kind of mini group inside the company where we were talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the other asset classes. And I think ICOs were like becoming a thing. So we were just kind of looking into like all these websites and projects, and trying to understand what this whole game was. Yeah, so that's my initial kind of journey into the whole space. Got involved in a lot of like different small projects, while I was kind of finding my way in. Eventually, I think, yeah, I really took the like the red pill, and kind of ran into the rabbit hole of whole what this means for like the liquidity side. I just like saw this as like a global liquidity that's kind of like global new asset class that's like transcribing the global liquidity. And eventually that allowed me to get a job at VC in China. So got to see firsthand what that whole experience, and how the deal flow kind of like came and went. China was obviously very, very active and growing. I remember back in the day, everyone was downloading WeChat, and everyone communicated through WeChat because Chinese were such a big influence, as well as capital, I guess like capital players in the whole space in 2017 and 2018. But yeah, and then moved on from there into Harmony, where I got the first hand experience in like marketing and kind of growing a layer one protocol. So I was head of marketing there, and by the time I left, I think a lot of the Harmony was obviously like on Binance, and there was a lot of things that happened to Harmony that like allowed me to kind of see how the growth from like unknown layer one to like like the layer one that is like consistently talked about within the top like top five layer one protocols. So it gave me that experience, and yeah, with that I started at Momentum 6. We were initially doing a lot of marketing work, and I think the way we kind of build that credibility up was to through like doing marketing as well as like investing, and obviously investing was became a lot bigger division due to due to the I guess like the returns that the investments were making. So yeah, through the 2020 2021 bull market, we were able to build a lot of capital up, and 2022, avoided most of the major, I think most of the major kind of what do you call it? Those events, I guess, happened. We survived through that, and now, yeah, I guess we're trying to see what the next steps are for us.
Awesome. So I think you have seen all the, the bear market, the bull market, and
Of course,
been
yeah,
throughout the journey. Yes. And
yeah, of
uh,
course.
you must be having a lot of learnings during that time. So and I think I've seen that you actively post insights, like what's happening in the market. I think you have this M6 Lab daily update
Yeah.
as well. Like, yeah, yeah. So, how do you like, keep yourself updated in this market, right? Like, what's the, that magic pill, I'll say, to catch the trend early? You guys have been very actively investing as well in the last cycle, and you were able to catch the trend early. So, how do you do that? Like, what's the secret? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think it's like a lot of grinding. Honestly, I think everyone has an access to different information, similar information. A lot of it depends on how you, I guess, digest it and act on that information. I mean, especially for things like Rollbit, right? Like I think gambling, the crypto is such a it's such a great vehicle for online gambling, just because it's like it's online, and it flows through different jurisdictions and different countries very seamlessly. And fortunately and unfortunately, like gambling is kind of perfect fit for that. So that narrative has been going around for a while, and guys like Stake, and they're launching the new platform with Kick, with the whole influencer and like streaming model. Like we all kind of talked about how that was gonna explode the whole gambling industry. And but yeah, like at the end of the day, like I didn't take any position in Rollbit, just because maybe it was complacency, maybe it was bias, whatever that is. But like it's just the difference between you making money and not making money. I think it's not really information, rather it's like like the conviction and like how you digest that information. In terms of like, I think you started off the whole intro of this question into like how do you get that information, right? And I think information is everywhere on Twitter. You could subscribe to 2 3 newsletters, even ours. Like we'll probably do we'll give you like 80 90% of the information that you need to understand market and trends and narratives. um I think it's more of like your ability to digest that information with your own conviction and thesis, in order to make money from that information. So, I think the secret, if you call it a secret, is to make sure that, yeah, like you kind of build that, hone down that decision making criteria, and, your ability to not stay out, but rather, if you have a legitimate reason to buy, legitimate reason to, go into something, then actually doing it instead of just writing about it, or, you know, yeah, just like talking about it, right? So I think that's the difference between some of the investors that I've seen that are very, very good and making money, and some of the investors that are just LARPing in the market. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the trends we have seen recently is the rise of Telegram bots, like
Yeah.
Unibot, and there are so many products coming up. So usually, like when the trend comes, now a lot of people are talking about base. Like we saw the coin bar going crazy uh, on base, and then they still don't have mainnet. I think they just launched yesterday their mainnet, and but how to differentiate with the legitimate trend and like it's just going to be like just short term, like how do you identify that? And because this is just for the
Oh,
audience, those who are listening to you, because we want to learn how do you do that. And uh, so what's your take so far? Like it's just like the hype cycle, or you should just wait, or yeah.
yeah. So that's a tough one because all the trends in crypto, I think, to some extent, I think, maybe like there's a lot of maybe backlash for this, but I don't know if there's a legitimate trends. A lot of the things usually, because crypto is such a liquidity market, a lot of it depends on which narrative and what correlation and what data people are kind of finding. Um, so I think the trend, yeah, I guess like like between meme coins, if you compare meme coins to let's say some of the more so and so called legitimate trends, such as let's say DID or the layer ones runs or it does come down to adoption and like the amount of use cases and the amount of ecosystem growth that something can have. Obviously, meme coins are a lot more two-dimensional. There's not a lot of like byproducts or subsequent ecosystems that can be grown out of incomes. Maybe there is, but maybe the reason why those cycles last such a short term is that, yeah, people like obviously need next thing to kind of grow into while they're doing, these narrative plays. And meme coins are pretty limiting in terms of what you can do afterwards, right? Whereas like yeah, like for layer ones or TIDs or gambling, like a lot of these things usually take off and they create new byproduct of that narrative, right? So for layer ones, it was a lot of the ecosystem growth, and ecosystem growth kind of led to the rise of like the DeFi and some of the DeFi applications, and like NFT ecosystem. So there's a lot of ecosystem growth there, right? Um, for yeah, like we'll see how the gambling kind of narratives kind of pan out, but it could be like maybe like the content creator um what do you call it, the content creator model where yeah, like it could spill into like like the rewarding content creators on there that are maybe streaming gambling content for online gambling content. Like there's a like couple of like different things that you can go into branch out into. So I think that's usually where it differentiates the most. I also don't know if I'm the best person to do this because I'm not a good narrative trader. But yeah, yeah, I think that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, I got it. And thanks for the insight. And uh, you just said that you are not a good narrative trader, but you must be following some trends in the market, like which are long term. Like we have Z
Yes.
kissing, ordinals. So, which trends that you think are really promising and we should keep our eyes on, and which trends are emerging or like really short term in your perspective?
So I had a conversation about this. Interestingly, for some reason, I think a lot of the trends that pop up in the next market is usually the trends that kind of like sunset the previous market. So I think the trends that we were going through were obviously NFTs, GameFi's, the whole rise of the layer ones, and obviously we're starting to see bubbles of that, with Celestia and different consensus model, and we're already seeing, different decks and different projects that are kind of doing that as well. So yeah, like those are some of the trends that I mean, I personally I'm looking into. I think some of the partners at the firm have different ideas. But yeah, like for me, it's usually the trends that kind of sunset the last market that comes back into this market. So, and then yeah, like I think as we kind of mature in the market, I would want to see, like the projects that we're starting to invest more of is things like more application-based projects rather than just pure technical. I think blockchain definitely has enough of like technical projects that are, very, very new paradigm of like, different codes and, like a new way of doing things. I think we should focus more on like the user access and user adoption and, making that whatever experiences, like whether you're, you doing something in the NFT area, whether you're doing something in DeFi, whether you're doing something in gaming, whether you're doing something in like, creating perps, lending, whatever that is, right? I think definitely like I think applications are going to be way more important. So some of the plays that we recently made are more focused on the application side of it. Yeah, so those would be some of the things that we'd be looking into.
Got it. So basically, in your perspective, you're saying that the trends where the market ended, like NFTs, gaming, metaverses, so that trend will come back again,
I
correct?
think so, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think those
Okay.
trends will come back. I mean, usually if we really, really go down into it, there's also the whole the whole idea of like where the liquidity comes from. I think token and NFT has a very different kind of community. And a lot of the Twitter, and I think it's a little bit more blurred now, but I still think there's like, you know, 80-90% separation between the token community or the DeFi community and the NFT community. And NFT community has its own kind of thesis and its own characteristics on how they approach the market and how they approach crypto. And I don't know if a lot of people understand that in so and so called like the token or DeFi space. So yeah, like NFTs down or down, I don't know, like 90-95% right now. And I think a lot of the people are, they're pretty quiet because of that. But I still think NFTs are one of the best adoption use cases for crypto, and it's just a way of like it fits in the crypto ethos in a way where it's like yeah, it is about community, it is about that belonging, it is about that like I don't know like just kind of having your own tribe or your own cult together and going like like kind of like you against the whole world with your like group of like your group of tribe and I think that's gonna come back when the market does come back, so yeah, definitely looking into more into that.
Got it. And what do you think about the trends like ZK Sync, ordinals, and a lot of L2 narrative is happening in the market. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I am not too. So L2 is an interesting place. I think we already have optimism and arbitrum. And those are obviously the new bridge to DeFi. Just having gone through the whole DeFi summer and like farming every different things under the sun. I have first-hand experience into how clunky and how expensive Ethereum is. I like there's a place where you can see the gas that you use, and it's just like it always gives me a heart attack to see like how much gas that I've actually used. So I think yeah, like on that aspect, L2s kind of fill in that hole really nicely. where they come in and it's really inexpensive transactions and it's fast and it's just a pleasant experience and overall. Um, Outside of that, I think Ordinals and ZK, I think you talked about a lot of the ZK deals that we kind of ran into are very, very like it's again like this whole thesis thing. I think I don't doubt that ZK will be extremely useful. And there might be an ecosystem, or there might be a niche carved out for ZK, or it could be like a mainstream kind of usage for every transaction that's done, especially DeFi, maybe because of the like the ability to cover some of the transaction there. Maybe like like the big players don't want that, right? Um, but with that, I think a lot of the projects that we've seen on ZK, just because it's so hot right now, it's very overvalued, that we feel. So in that aspect, we're staying. I'm personally not a big fan of a lot of the ZK projects at the moment. However, yeah, would love to be proven wrong. And if I do see something where it's a reasonable valuation and it's like I can see what they're doing and like the impact that they're going to be making, obviously happy to revalue my own thesis. And ordinals as well. Yeah, like I haven't gotten into it. I know one of our partner Dennis has been playing in that area, but I personally am not advanced enough to in ordinals. I've heard it's a whole nother process in terms of like how you mint it and like how you store it and how you can get it. So I'm not well educated in terms of the whole ordinals space. I know it has its own market, like even outside of NFT they like carved out this other market for Bitcoin ordinals. And I know that's like a new, and like with the thesis of like yeah, like uh if you have new user base that has different way of interacting and different types of liquidity, then yeah, like that price will grow, and ordinals kind of fit that thesis. But yeah, personally hasn't haven't really gone into it just because of the inaccessibility of the whole category.
Got it. And I think it makes sense. And also, which trends that you are really you have a really strong conviction that this is this maybe this trend or this segment has a really high probability of success compared to
Mm.
other in the market in your perspective.
I think yeah, I'm definitely really looking into gambling. I think crypto and gambling just fit really, really well together. So I mean, especially with how much revenue that some of these gambling companies are kind of raking in with crypto, I think the space will probably get bigger as we transfer more and more to the online world. So that's one. Um, yeah, gradually, I think like I really do think we need a way to ease the adoption curve into crypto, and like having multiple addresses in MetaMask, and like not being able to send to someone, and just like the whole like this feel of like, oh, like we're working with like a bridge made out of like wood, and like everyone's just like banking everything on there. It just kind of feels like that whenever I interact with DeFi. Everything getting hacked. So I think security and usability is going to be really important. Like I said, like app-based kind of like projects rather than like tech innovation. Like I think we have enough tech innovation to kind of get us through the next wave of adoption. So definitely would love to see something that whether that comes in a structured product form, whether that comes in more of like easy to use UX platform, like how Blur and some of these guys kind of came in and took the NFT market with their like incentive model, and their like user experience, like the platform's user experience. So yeah, I think definitely more bullish on those. I still am very, very bullish on gaming. Although gaming has a lot of risk, we are investing into more of the gaming infrastructure right now. just because gaming has big, especially in a bear market. I think they tend to have a larger burn, and the games themselves, it takes a while for them to like come up with an MVP and prove themselves. So yeah, for us, we're taking a safer approach and investing into the gaming infrastructure that are doing certain things, that are like kind of like onboarding the Web2 games into Web3. But yeah, I mean, I'm still very bullish on gaming as well. So yeah, those are some of the things. And yeah, like I guess like another one would be yeah, the decentralized physical infrastructure network plays. So I think they're calling it DePIN. I think Masari might have coined that term. Um, so yeah,
Come
like
again?
DePIN,
Uh,
the
deepen.
yes, yeah. So it's
It's
called a
decentralized?
decentralized infrastructure. Yeah, decentralized physical infrastructure network. So,
Okay.
it's the guys that might be doing, storage through your phone, like kind of like what I think Filecoin was initially mentioning, or yeah, like guys that may be doing things like yeah, like one of the projects that we invested in are like basically, yeah, they allowed other computers and to kind of lend their GPU power into the cloud network, so that the guys with lesser kind of like phones or computers can play like AAA games on their phone. So yeah, like things like that. I think those are really interesting models where it still keeps the ethos of the like the whole decentralization, but they have incentive with the token, where they provide value to the guys that might not be able to access some of those games. Or yeah, so I think yeah, some of those would be what I have in mind. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think learning from you, three trends that you mentioned. First is the gambling. Second is the gaming infrastructure that you're focusing on. The third is decentralized physical infrastructure. I learned it here now, deep in. So yeah, thanks for sharing that insight
Yeah,
with
no
us.
worries. No
Yeah, yeah.
worries.
Awesome. And one really important question is for this is for all the founders here you are who are building right now in the bear market. And so, what what decides, what are the parameters of a successful project, or when you invest in any project? So, what are the things that you look into that project are really really important? Maybe top three, top five things. Uh, Based on that, you make your decision so that the founders, those who are coming in your network, they keep that in mind and they approach you. So
Oh, you mean like the project quality, I guess, right?
project quality, or the way what basically compels you to invest in the project. What do you look into it? Like, what are the top three or top five parameters that are really necessary or important for you to invest?
Mm, yeah, I think definitely we would want someone that knows the difference between Web2 and Web3, and how so the Web3 market structure kind of works. And like Web3, I think someone yeah talked to like put this beautifully. It is a resource accumulation game where you kind of accumulate the resource in the beginning, rather than going through the incremental steps of eventually getting to IPO. The process kind of flipped backwards. So I think yeah, like definitely the founder who has insight to how they're gonna accumulate resource, so that they can have a runway for the next, I don't know, like 2, 3, 5 years in the beginning. And like obviously like being able to work with the market structure to kind of like accumulate that runway and treasury. So yeah, definitely I think that becomes the big plus. Yeah, I think in terms of yeah, like Web3 also is very new still. And a lot of the ideas, I think a lot of the projects are, I think kind of built upon this idea of like, which narrative might be popping up, and like where the user attentions are going. So it's not really built on fundamental revenue and fundamental profits, which means that the project founders might have to be more nimble in terms of how they navigate the space and how, how open they are to new ideas and accepting that new idea and transferring into their project themselves. So, like the malleability and like how how flexible they are with new ideas. I think that becomes really important. I think that kind of signals the strength of the founder. But ironically, also like I think like a founder has to have a good conviction on the core idea itself, on what they're building, and be able to um, be open when the idea is wrong, but also at the same time, be able to be have enough conviction in their idea so that if like there's different obstacles and opponents that are being thrown at the ideas, then they're able to push through that with their own reasoning and with their own kind of conviction on what they're building. So it's a very I think thin like fine line, and like it's a balance between like being able to be open but also having conviction. And yeah, I guess those are some of the qualities. Yeah, like just being able to being able to do that. If a founder is able to like kind of achieve those three different qualities, I think yeah, definitely more bullish than I think 95% of the founders that are out there. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll just summarize quickly for the entrepreneurs who are listening to you and our podcast. So basically, you need to understand the difference between Web 2, Web 3, and how you accumulate resources. I think, and second is how flexible you are in catching the trend early, building, and then navigating to that trend. I think so. And the third one is Galam again. The
Third one is just it's the opposite of that, which was why I say it's ironic. It's like having the conviction to push through your ideas, even if someone
Yeah.
says it's not a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult one because when everybody is telling you that you are not going in the right direction, and
Yeah.
you need to have that strong conviction. Okay, maybe it will take some time, but I will still keep building. Like I think one of the trend is the metaverse trend, like
Hmm.
decentralized sandbox. They were building it early during 2017, 18, I guess, and there was no
Right.
hype at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, having that conviction and building things throughout, it's yeah, awesome. And I want to ask one weird or you can might be a stupid question for you, but I'll still
No,
ask.
no, no.
So uh, why do you invest? Like what? Like for me, for example, say I like to make money, but there are other reasons as well I invest. But for you, what it is? Like why do you invest?
Um. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we are like venture capital, and like not even like the whole market. I think the whole market game is about making money, and I don't like to circle around that. A lot of people are here because they want to make money. Obviously the tech itself, and I think there's a lot of different benefits that this can give out, blockchain and crypto in general. But yeah, like that's first and foremost, to make sure that we can stay ahead, and we can stay ahead in terms of the capital size and the amount of wins that we have, right? um i am I personally really like the game of having a thesis on something that's not quite there yet and being right about it. It hits that dopamine center of like being right, and like having enough data, and trying to create your own world, and you know like seeing the world kind of like move in that direction. It gives me that dopamine boost. So I would say like personally that's one of the biggest reasons where I like the reason why I invest, and the reason like what gets me kind of like what wakes me up in the after in the morning, right? um and I think other than that, like we yeah, like I know we're early to this asset class. In any other asset class, I think the name Garlam Won wouldn't really mean anything. Luckily, I came in here, I don't think early, but was able to kind of stick around to build a bit of a brand and, with Momentum 6 and, some of the other things that we're building. So we want to stay relevant. I think we just want to stay relevant. We want to stay in the market. We want to be able to, you know, like be a player that matters in the space. I definitely want to be a player that matters in the space. I want to make sure that we are remembered for, like the guys that are, like maybe the smartest in the room, or the most wins in the room, whatever that is. Like, I definitely want to grow, more than where we are today. I think that's why we, haven't really left the market. We just keep investing in this market because, like, we know we have an edge in this market, and we know that we can win relatively more compared to some of the other markets that people might be jumping into, let's say AI or now superconductors or whatever the new narrative is coming out these days. We know that if we focus on this market, we might be able to yeah, become that very important player. So yeah, I think those are some of the reasons why I don't I would like to say like there's like a grand like selfless reason for like why I invest, but I personally don't have one. Yeah, it's to like meet my dopamine needs and to make money in this space. So a lot of the things that I think I'd be looking at, obviously I'll be biased with that vision as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. One just follow-up question, like, do you do degen trades? Maybe, not listening to from your brain, degen trades or investments when you are like, okay, maybe this might go. Like, do you try
Oh,
that or
all the time,
or
all
you?
the time. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean all the
awesome.
time. Yeah, yeah, like I have multiple wallets. Yeah, like wallets that people don't know about. Like I have most of my wallets I don't think people know about. Yeah, like two embarrassing things in there, and it's just like if I lose it, I lose it. It's no one really knows about it. I'm not really risking anything. So yeah, I mean, I think our DNA is definitely more on the retail and like I guess if you want to call it degen side. I was forced out of like multiple markets and did went through a lot of different farms and ICOs, IDOs, and like the next kind of like the small retail coins, went through a lot of the launch pads as well. So yeah, definitely still believe that there's like a lot of alpha in those markets. So yeah, 100%. I'll get involved whenever I can. Right now it's like a little harder because we do own a lot of brands under us, and we're just trying to like balance all that. Brand is a full-time job, but yeah, whenever I can, I'll definitely get involved. Yeah. And yeah, let me know if you have any good plays. Happy to get involved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I also try to do, I think maybe sometimes, not listening from to your brain, but that gut feeling you have sometimes. Yeah. Uh, and how successful it has been so far, like
Oh
doing those
yeah,
degen.
I lose money. I make money. I think it's yeah, like it's been a very fun market. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, definitely been a very very fun market. Crypto. I feel like that's the thing with especially people like me who have ADHD. I feel like it gives you that dopamine boost every single day. Whether it's in a crisis form or some new narrative. It always like kind of keeps you entertained. So yeah, I really yeah, been enjoying this this like like these little segments of like different narrative pumps and like different yeah, I guess yeah, like different like kind of mechanics coming in. So yeah, yeah, definitely it's been entertaining.
Awesome, awesome. So I think it's glad to know that there are like, you are also doing it and there are people and there's nothing to be, I think it's, if you lose, you lose. If you win a lot. Yeah. So it's all right. And just, following up, not following up, but a new segment basically is about the market trend. So, what do you think about the market, and what's your take on the current situation? How do you think will start the trend? We have halving coming
So
up soon.
yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Obviously, whoever tries to understand and predict the market, I think is playing fool's errand. It's just it's impossible. Like, like a lot way smarter people before me have done it and failed miserably. So I'm not too bullish. I think a lot of the people will differ. And especially like I think we're in a very divided market right now. Like I think especially like with things like what's happening in Tether and some of the issues with liquidity and on and off ramp that they've been going through. It's just not doesn't give me full confidence that this market is still ready for that like extended bull run. But I mean, yeah, like I think the trait of being a good investor is obviously being prepped for all scenarios. So I don't let that bias kind of dictate my entire position. I know that the bias is probably, or this thesis is built upon a very, it's not built upon like a full reasoning. And as I do more research, as I talk to more people, I think I want to make sure that I have percentage of the portfolio that's exposed, depending on different things that I find out throughout the week. So yeah, like main thing is like yeah, I guess I'm not as bullish as some of the other people that are online, but I definitely am. I have exposure to some of the majors and some of the minors coins as well, just so that I don't miss the train when I'm wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think predicting trend. What if it goes wrong? So yeah, I think we have seen a lot of big VCs doing that mistake. And yeah, but it's for us it's learning,
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
yeah, awesome. And any advice for the people who are listening to you about the market, anything, so for all the
Yeah, I think
listeners, yeah.
that yeah, it's always the same market. I feel like yeah, like just don't leave the market. Always like that's what we're dealing as well. Just keep on building. Find opportunities, find a way to stay in this market. Because it is a resource accumulation game, and those opportunities come every 2 3 years. And when it comes, like you can accumulate all the resource that you want for the next 5 years or so. And I feel like that's how some of these market cycles kind of work. Yeah, so yeah, don't leave. Find your edge. Find your like more way to build an infra, way to build value. Way to stay connected with your group of people, different group of people. But yeah, if you don't leave and just keep at the industry, I think at some point or another, the because industry is relatively early still, and there's not a lot of like not too many players that are playing in this market. It will have opportunities that you can take advantage of. So I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
And awesome. uh, what are the top 3 to 5 insights that you have discovered in from the projects that you have invested in last
Oh,
say 6 12 months? Yeah.
I think we definitely seen a lot of like bear market presents a challenge of we sadly seen projects go down because they're running out of runway. Definitely seen a handful of that. Founders just like obviously if it's a tougher market condition, there's obviously like sometimes dispute between different founders and different team members. So yeah, like we've seen a lot of that, and through that, I think the guys that are able to keep it together are the guys who have like at least like a little bit of traction. I think usually when you don't have traction or when you are everything's like melting around you, that's when people start thinking of different ideas and start finding things finding flaws and like just things to be unhappy about. I think it's always like important, not just for the metric itself, but for psychologically, just to have like a little bit of progress, whatever that is, so that like the team can kind of stay focused on that progress, and instead of like, bickering and, kind of creating rumors between each other. So I think, yeah, no, that was a pretty good insight for us, just kind of talking to projects, for the last bear market, and kind of seeing who's thriving and who's not.
And what are the companies that you are looking forward to, like right now, to track them actively, and
Oh, you mean from our portfolio?
maybe from your portfolio, not from your portfolio, like you
Oh,
can tell us both. Yeah.
yeah, I think that kind of goes on hand in hand with some of the narratives. I don't know if I want to like directly do it. Like I want to stay more like, more general and more vague. Just like, yeah, because I also don't feel like I've fully developed like the full thesis to be able to like go public with a lot of information. Like if it's a shit post, sure, yeah, like I'll say anything on there. But if it's like a more official platform like this, I think I feel a little more a little more nervous about talking about some of the projects. But yeah, like I mean, guys that are playing in obviously like the next market structure, and evolving market structure, guys like LSD, gambling projects that I mentioned, new layer ones, and obviously those are going to be kind of like getting a lot of the liquidity into their ecosystem. Just the nature of the layer one, it's kind of fascinating how that works in crypto. So yeah, like and I think all DeFi, like the DeFi, like 1.0, guys like Compound, or Curve, obviously, a lot of these guys I think will be kind of like acting as a foundational blocks to the next evolution of DeFi. And as like LSD and ETH gets more volume, and like ETH ecosystem grows, I think DeFi obviously becomes an integral part of like the whole like money market game. So yeah, definitely looking forward to a lot of those things right now. Yeah.
And what do you think about DeFi on Bitcoin?
I think it's an interesting play. I haven't really done anything on it. It's just like NFT, like anything on Bitcoin. I think it's even Ethereum, I think for new users, are is like pretty hard to access. So I can't imagine, users being able to like access Bitcoin DeFi. So like I said, it's less of like, I guess, what I'm looking into, just because I'm looking in this phase of the, I guess, like the maturity of the market. I'm looking more into the ones that are, friendly for users, and user experience, rather than unfriendly. And I think Bitcoin DeFi kind of like goes the other way. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it. And right now we have seen a lot of this L1, L2s on Ethereum. Like it's crazy, right? Every day there's new L1, sorry, L2 coming up. Like Optimism, I've seen like
Mm-hmm.
we have seen Base coming. Then I came across Zora, then Mode, and so many L2s coming up. Maybe some people are building on Optimism stack as well. Uh, do you think it makes sense for us also to have a really solid L2 on uh, Bitcoin as well? Right now, there's stacks, but stack stacks is really bad user experience so far.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I would have to do more research. But my general stance on just like usability. I think, yeah, like I think we do need, like it's just like a lot of the wallets and a lot of the DeFi is very unfriendly in terms of like how you use it. It expects people to know and be cautious of a lot of things that we might not be cautious of. So it's just like wallet addresses, making sure that you maintain your own security. You're bridging. A lot of that is very clunky, and it's extremely unfriendly in terms of user experience. So I haven't personally used the stacks. I haven't done anything on Bitcoin other than buy it. So depending on what that ecosystem looks like, I think, yeah, like definitely, I think they could use more friendly infrastructure. I also know that Bitcoin, I think Bitcoiners or the OG Bitcoiners, they don't really care about building DeFi on there. They're just fine having Bitcoin as it is. So I don't even know how much support that the Bitcoin DeFi will get, because like I can't see myself using Bitcoin DeFi, just because like of like just because of like how the whole system and infrastructure is like like very gonna be very clunky to use. If we're having this experience in Ethereum, I can't even imagine it on Bitcoin. But yeah, obviously will depend on the next great founder that comes with great product on Bitcoin, and maybe like Uniswap, they'll change everyone's mind.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Awesome. I think thanks a lot, Garlam,
Yeah, of
for
course, of
coming
course.
here. A
Yeah.
really interesting discussion. And thanks for giving your valuable time. I learned a lot
Oh,
of
of
interesting
course.
insights
I'm glad it
and
helped.
amazing things. Yeah, 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 absolutely. And I'll just tell. So, guys, we do this podcast every week, every Wednesday, and we have been doing it consistently since Jan first week, and the whole experience is evolving right now and learning from the best from the industry. So thanks a lot for joining again, and uh, see you again in the next week. And thanks a lot, Garlam, for uh, coming up and giving your valuable time. Any last closing words for the audience you want to share before we end this podcast? Yeah.
No, not really. Yeah, just follow us on Crypto Illuminati. Subscribe to our M6 Labs newsletter. Best way to stay updated on the market. Doing something new with the newsletter right now as well. So yeah, like happy to receive different feedbacks if there are things that people are don't like or like about it. So yeah, that's it. But thanks for having me, and had a great time.